Welcome to the Season Long Podcast in support of the YouTube channel SeasonLongBaller. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day, a wonderful start to your week, and we are going to get deeper into the playoffs. Now, for the East, the Washington Wizards, and in the West, the LA Clippers have already swept their respective series. So we'll start out west with the LA Clippers, who were facing the Sacramento Kings. Now, you may recall the Kings are the 6th seed, the Clippers are the 2 seed. The Clippers are the 2 seed, as I mentioned. The Kings are the 6th seed, and they were facing in the latter round, as you know, in the previous round, they were facing the Dallas Mavericks, the 3 seed, and they came back, as we talked about this in last week's Season Long Podcast, number 26. They came back from a 3-1 deficit and defeated the Mavericks. However, no such luck here with the Clippers, as the Clippers get the sweep 4-0. Game 1 was 54-52 in LA in favor of the Clippers. Both teams shooting about the same percentage. The Clippers at 44%, the Kings at 42%. Now, believe it or not, the difference in this game looks like it comes down to free throws. When you look at the field goal percentage, the Kings, as I mentioned, shot 42, the Clippers shot 44. Both teams made 19 baskets. The Kings were 19 of 45, the Clippers were 19 of 43. Both teams made 6 3-pointers. The Kings, again, shooting 2 more three-pointers than the Clippers did, 6 out of 19, Clippers 6 out of 17. But the biggest difference, the Clippers shot 3 more free throws, making 2 more. They were 10 out of 12, while the Kings were 8 out of 9. There's that 2-point difference. Clippers get the 54-52 victory in Game 1. In Game 2, the Kings shot pretty bad, 37% from the field, but they stayed in the game as the Clippers shot 50% from the field, but only won the game by 3, 51-48. Neither team shot a lot of free throws. The Kings especially were only 2 out of 4 after going in one of those games against the Mavericks, got no free throws. The Clippers were 4 out of 8, so both teams shot only 50% from the free throw line. The Kings were 8 out of 19 from 3. The Clippers were 5 out of 16 from 3. But the Clippers managed to squeak out another victory in LA, 51-48. Game 3 back in Sacramento, heading up north, and the Clippers shot 55% from the field, their best performance so far. The Kings were again under 50% at 43%, and the Clippers get a 62-49 victory in Game 3. And finally, in Game 4, Clippers again shot very well in Sacramento, shooting 58%. The Kings had their best shooting game as well, shooting 48%, so you may notice they never did shoot over 50% in this series, but fall to the Clippers this time, 59-53. And again, Clippers only shot 3 free throws, the Kings only shot 2 free throws. The Clippers were not very good. The Clippers were slightly better from 3-point distance, going 7 out of 16, while the Kings were 7 out of 22. So again, it's funny, the Kings had games where they just did not shoot free throws, and this time they were 2 out of 2, but they fall to the Clippers by 6, 59-53. Now, while the Clippers were sweeping the Kings in the East, the Wizards, the 1 seed, were sweeping the 5 seed Chicago Bulls, who had defeated the 4 seed Atlanta Hawks 4-1. And you've heard me say several times that I thought the Hawks were going to win that series, even though I'm glad that the Bulls won that series, since during the regular season, I was able to sweep the Bulls as well. So this ends up being 8 straight victories for the Wizards over the Bulls. In Game 1, if you recall last Sunday, was an 84-63 blowout win for the Wizards. Now, this week, Game 2, well, it was a much different story. The Wizards get by with a 83-79 victory, just a 4-point win over the Bulls. Pretty close game throughout. The Wizards with a 26-point effort from Jaymont Summerz, us, 8 out of 14 from the field, so pretty good from the field. However, again, struggling from distance, going 2 for 8, meaning that all 6 of the shots I missed were from 3-point distance. Now, the Bulls actually countered this time, as Lonzo Ball, as you know, we've been talking about our strategy against Ball because he has been injured in this series, so we've tried to press him full court. And in Game 1, he didn't shoot very well. However, in Game 2, he was much better, and he did score. He was 7 out of 12 from the field. So in Game 2, the Wizards shot 61% from the field. The Bulls shot 49%, and yet the Wizards still only got a 5-point victory in this one. As again, I mentioned, 83-78. The Wizards did have more points in the paint, 38-32. The Bulls, however, led in bench scoring, 29-25, and I'm sure that is affected by Monte Morris being injured, and we'll talk about him just a little bit later on. And the Wizards, in a lot of cases, dominated the glass here with 28 rebounds to the Bulls' only 18, and that is pretty much the biggest difference in the game. But actually, in terms of the straight points, the Wizards went 16 of 16 from the free throw line, while the Bulls were 11 of 12 from the free throw line. Both teams were 7 out of 17 from three. So your difference there, the 5 points that the Wizards picked up on the free throw line, going 16 out of 16, and again picking up a 5-point victory, 83-78. In game 3, the Wizards again shot 50% or better, shooting 50 exactly, while the Bulls were shooting 45%. The Wizards were again, just like last game, 7 out of 17 from the field, 41%. The Bulls were 7 out of 17 from distance. The Bulls were 5 out of 18 from distance. And this was a very close game as well, 77-74 in favor of the Wizards. And this game is defined by us shooting 14 free throws, a career high, regular season or playoffs. And despite the fact that we were very clutch and very just pretty much automatic during the regular season, shooting 92.9% from the free throw line, we were only 10 out of 14. And that helped the Bulls stay in this game as it came to a close. However, we did manage to hit the clutch free throws at the very, very end, and that provided the difference for the Wizards, a 77-74 victory. And again, the Wizards were 14 out of 19 from the free throw line, so 5 of the misses from the Wizards, 4 of those came from me. And the Bulls were only 11, well, the Bulls were 11 out of 11 from the free throw line, so they didn't miss at all. But again, those 3 free throws, seems like a theme here in the playoffs, were the difference. And the Wizards got the 77-74 victory in Chicago and take a commanding 3-0 lead in the series. This is the one that Ball probably played the best in, 7 out of 12 from the field. He was only 1 out of 4 from distance, but he led the team in points, scoring 17. Andre Drummond had 11, and Drummond has been effective in this entire series as well, getting a lot of putback dunks, offensive rebounds, keeping possessions alive for the Bulls. So in this game as well, Summerz had one of his better shooting games. I mentioned the 10 out of 14 free throws, 2 out of 5 from deep, 5 out of 13 overall, but I guess one of the better shooting games in terms of distance, but finished 22 and 3 assists to go along with 2 rebounds. So game 4 was a big difference from games 2 and 3, which were very tight affairs in Washington and in Chicago. But game 4 in Chicago, the Wizards closed out the Bulls 78-55, a 23-point victory. Summerz leading the way again with 29 points, shot the ball 22 times. So again, that is probably the most I've shot it in a game. But granted, I led the league in shot attempts anyway. I mean, what do you expect? Summerz went 11 out of 22, 5 out of 12 from distance, hit enough of those threes that made me keep shooting them. Not that I needed a lot of motivation for that. And was only 2 out of 2 from the free throw line. The Wizards were only 6 out of 7 from the free throw line as a team. And again, a 78-55 victory. Now, the Bulls did not shoot as well in this game, and that was probably their downfall, led by Green. And again, remember, Patrick Williams did not play. Javonte Green started all 4 games at the power forward position, and Patrick Williams did not make an appearance in this series at all. He was dealing with a severe right ankle sprain that was a 1 to 2 week diagnosis, and he never did play in this series. So Green led the team in this one with 10 points, going 4 out of 6 from the field. Zach LaVine only had 9 points, going 4 out of 10. And DeMar DeRozan only had 8 points, going 3 out of 11 from the field. And that was pretty much the Bulls' downfall. They were not able to get much to fall. They only shot 35% from the field and 6 out of 25 for a 24% clip from distance, while the Wizards shot 57% from the field. The Bulls did hit all 5 of their free throws, and that was the wrap of game 4. So you had games 1 and 4 in this series were blowouts, and games 2 and 3 were tight affairs. Also to mention, in game 4, Summerz' 29 points led the way, but we were also a plus-minus 25. And as you know, Jaymont Summerz is our player bill, so that's what I mean when I said I take those shots or we took those shots. He is our NBA 2K23 player build, and that video is down in the description below, created way back in October at the beginning of the season. And as you know, we followed the entire Washington Wizards schedule, all 82 games. The only exception being the actual Detroit Pistons game with the Wizards in February was postponed, moved into March because the Pistons got delayed coming out of Texas after a game with the Mavericks due to inclement weather. Of course, the other big difference is that the Wizards are still playing. And obviously, the real Washington Wizards did not make the playoffs. So that was a big difference there as well. But Summerz finished with a plus-minus 25, and that was the highest in the game. Now, I mentioned during Game 4 that Summerz is leading the league in playoff scoring. He's at 20.8 a game, shooting at a just under 50% at 49.6% from the field. Nikola Jokic is second at 17.1 points per game in these playoffs right now. So taking a quick look at the injury report among the teams that are remaining, the Memphis Grizzlies, John Konchar is out with left knee tendonitis. So he is out for 2 to 4 weeks, and we'll see how much Memphis misses him. Denver has a bigger cog missing as Aaron Gordon has a spinal injury. He's out for the season. So that is probably a bigger injury issue for the Nuggets at this juncture in their series with the Grizzlies. And of course, the winner plays the Clippers, the 2 seed. So the Clippers will have home field advantage if Memphis wins. And if Denver wins the 5 seed, they will not. Now, in the East, coming back out East, Tyrese Maxey is probably the biggest news in terms of injury. He is out 2 to 4 weeks with a torn right hamstring, and I'm sure the Sixers need him. And they are deadlocked in their series 2-2 with the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are missing Kevin Love right now, who is out 1 to 2 weeks with right elbow tendonitis. Meanwhile, for the Wizards, I've mentioned it a few times during the games, Monte Morris is out with back spasms. He was out 2 to 4 weeks. He is now out 1 to 2 weeks. Hopefully for the Wizards, he will be back for the next round, whether that's the Sixers or the Cavaliers, as I mentioned, are deadlocked right now at 2-2, with the Sixers being the 2 seed and the Cavaliers being the 3 seed. And that has caused the Wizards' rotation to change. Will Barton has been playing a lot more, and Summerz, along with Bradley Beal, have basically been the 3 rotating at the guard position, with Beal taking the ball handling duties when Summerz takes the bench. So now it's time to take a look at the Jaymont Summerz play of the week.
Levine takes a 3 with all kinds of Wizards in his way. Over to Summerz. Woo. We have been careless on these passes. Oh, good pass from Porzingis. That was sweet. Handed it off to Summerz, who was able to get up and dunk before Drummond could get over. Summerz with 9 and 2. Wizards up by 18 here in Game 3.
All right, I like that pass there from Porzingis. That's going to do it this week for the Season Long podcast. Really quickly recapping the playoffs right at this moment. In the East, Washington with a 4-0 sweep over the Chicago Bulls. So the Wizards have advanced. In the other semifinal round matchup in the East, Philly and Cleveland, the 2-3 matchup, are even at 2-2. Out West, it's pretty much the same. The 2 seed this time, however, beat the 6 seed Sacramento Kings. It was 4-0 there. And meanwhile, the 1-5 matchup is deadlocked at 2-2 between Memphis and Denver. We will see you later on this week when we will find out who our opponents will be for the Washington Wizards. That's going to do it for this edition, number 27 of the Season Long Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you like what we're doing on the channel on YouTube, please give us that like and subscribe. And if you like what we're doing here on the podcast, go ahead and give us that download and a comment. It is much appreciated. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See you later. Peace.